All right, let's try to connect some dots here because things are getting weird. We've got a new digital workforce popping up, a crazy high-speed AI arms race, and, get this, plans to literally disassemble the moon. It all sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's really happening. And all these strange threads might actually tie back to a single bizarre prophecy.
This just sounds like a joke, right? It's that classic folksy way of saying, never gonna happen. It was tossed out there as a kind of riddle for when we'd finally hit the technological singularity. But here's the wild question we're gonna dig into today.
I mean, what if that sign we were all told to watch for, the thing we all assumed was a metaphor, what if it already happened? Literally, as in a real news headline. Just stick with me here, because the evidence is pretty compelling, and it all starts with a whole new kind of population that's coming online right now.
So, we really need to stop thinking about AI as just a tool, like a fancy calculator. We are now actively building the infrastructure for completely digital population. A synthetic workforce that works on a scale and at a speed that, frankly, no human could ever match.
And this is getting surprisingly physical. I want you to picture this. Racks of Mac Minis humming away in a closet, running as a 24/7 workforce. Developers are literally being told to build for these AI agents first, not for people. And now, with incredibly realistic voice tech, these agents aren't just typing away, they're starting to make phone calls.
And look, this is not some fringe tech bro experiment. This is becoming official company policy. At OpenAI, the humans, the employees, are being banned from coding directly. They have to go through an AI agent. Goldman Sachs, they're building autonomous digital coworkers. And even on social media, AI is now writing the first draft of what we see as fact checks, with humans just coming in to clean it up.
The scale here is it's staggering. By the end of this year, it's predicted that just one of these systems, Claude Code, will be responsible for 20% of all public code commits on GitHub. Think about that. That's a fifth of the world's open source code, written by an AI. And of course, all this power is kicking off an absolutely ferocious competition.
So when you create a new digital workforce, what's the next logical step? An arms race to build the most capable digital worker? Of course. The competition between the top AI models has turned into this frantic, high-speed game of leapfrog. The title of best model changes hands constantly. And the state of play right now is just fascinating. For general coding and text, Anthropic's Claude Opus is sitting at the top. But when you look at super advanced math problems, it's basically in a dead heat with a new version of GPT-5. And then you jump over to the world of finance, and xAI's Grok is the undisputed king. It all depends on what you're asking it to do.
You can feel the momentum. Just look at the prediction markets. Where people are betting actual money on this stuff? They're giving Anthropic a 2 in 3 chance of having the best overall model by the end of this month. That's how fast this is moving. The crown can literally change hands in a matter of weeks.
And let's be clear, these aren't just abstract scores on a leaderboard. That top spot that Grok has in finance, it earned it in a stock trading simulation where it delivered an incredible 34% return. This is AI showing off a very real and incredibly powerful ability to make money. But the real cutting edge is moving way beyond just knowing what we already know. Mathematicians have started releasing these high-level research problems with the answers encrypted just to see if AI can generate genuinely new knowledge. Can it solve problems that no human has ever published a solution for? This whole revolution, though, it's not just happening on a screen. It is physically rewriting our world.
All this code being written, all these models being trained, it's having massive, tangible effects on the physical world around us. We're talking everything from the tiny chips in our computers all the way up to the very definition of life itself.
Yeah, let's just start with the biggest one, shall we? Our entire understanding of life and death might be changing. For the first time in history, scientists have successfully preserved a mammal's brain, in this case a rabbit's, perfectly, right down to the microscopic level. This pretty much proves that cryopreserving a human brain is physically possible. The philosophical doors that this one discovery kicks open are just immense. Now, on a much more immediate level, the actual hardware that powers this whole AI revolution is seriously straining to keep up. Just in the first quarter of this year, the prices for memory chips shot up by 80 to 90%. That's insane. We are building this new world so fast that our physical supply chains can barely handle the demand.
And this physical expansion is happening on every front at once. We're on track for a $1 trillion year in chip sales alone. We're building next-gen quantum security to create basically unhackable communication channels. And we're even designing entirely new kinds of hardware, like OpenAI's rumored audio wearable, to plug this intelligence directly into our daily lives.
And if you want the most extreme, mind-bending example of rewriting physical reality, well, here it is. People are starting to push back against building more of these massive data centers here on Earth. So the new plan? Go to space, not just to build data centers in orbit, but to literally take apart the moon for raw materials to build them. That's a real plan.
So, when your technology gets this powerful, it doesn't just create new products. It fundamentally changes the entire operating system of society. Our economic systems, our social structures, they're all starting to reorganize themselves around this new, autonomous, 24/7 reality.
A perfect simple example is banking. The old 9-to-5, weekends off model just doesn't work when the systems you're built to serve, like the blockchain, never, ever sleep. So what happens? New banks are being chartered specifically to operate 24/7, matching the rhythm of the machines.
And the economic value being placed on this new world is, well, it's astronomical. Just the other day, the domain name AI.com was sold for $70 million. That's not just buying a website name, that's somebody putting a $70 million bet on the table for the future of an entire industry.
And this autonomy is already having real life-or-death consequences. We're seeing credible reports of Tesla's full self-driving system getting people having heart attacks to the hospital faster than a human-driven ambulance could. Meanwhile, Waymo is using its own AI to literally dream up simulated worlds to train itself in. It's a completely recursive loop of self-improvement.
Which, believe it or not, brings us right back to where we started, back to that strange prophecy. We've seen a new digital species emerge, a physical reformatting of our planet, and a total reorganization of society. So, what about that flying pig?
Okay, I want you to consider two completely unrelated news headlines about non-human, let's call it uplift. On the one hand, you have a huge cognitive leap. We've found bonobos can use symbolic thought, identifying pretend objects. That's profound. And on the other hand, well, we have an aerodynamic leap. A farmer in China used a drone to fly a pig across a mountain.
And that right there is the punchline. The old prophecy, the singularity will arrive when pigs fly, has actually, in the most literal, bizarre, and frankly hilarious way possible, come true. A pig flew. It even crashed into power lines and caused a blackout. A real physical disruption caused by a non-human aerodynamic event.
And that's really the final thought here. If the signpost for the future, the thing we all thought was just a funny saying, has already happened as a weird news story that we all missed, it forces us to ask a really serious question. What other impossibilities are we just dismissing today that are going to be tomorrow's reality?